So should you buy a Mac Mini? For a very long time, this was quite a random question, until December 2025. Out of nowhere, an independent Austrian entrepreneur and programmer, Peter Steinberger, releases a project called ClawBot, now OpenClaw. It instantly becomes one of the most starred repositories on GitHub. It reaches 100,000 GitHub stars in the first week, and it becomes the fastest growing open source project in history.
This from a friend who looked at this statistic and said, Peter, this is not hockey stick growth. This is stripper pole.
Major news outlets start covering this, declaring that AI agentic wide use is finally here.
Moment for AI. ClawBot is like a preview of where we're seeing AI go. That is very cool, also very scary.
For the first time, we had an AI that didn't just talk back to us, it could actually do our work for us. The creator wasn't some prophetic bureaucratic tech CEO. He was just a normal, funny guy who would joke all the time about the lobster mascot of his creation. As OpenClaw goes viral, the internet search history shifts. The question, should I buy a Mac Mini, is extremely important now. It becomes the question on everyone's lips.
On 3 new Mac Minis, I've got one over here, so I'm going to be going.
I have 3 Mac Minis arriving today. These are very hard to get your hands on because of OpenClaw or ClawBot. These have sold out.
People start buying Mac Minis left, right, and center. Global shortages hit. Somehow, overnight, Apple inexplicably becomes the biggest winner of the AI craze. In other words, if OpenClaw marks the new AI gold rush, Apple was the merchant selling the shovels and the pickaxes, making all the guaranteed money of the rushing prospectors. But then, backlash hits. Headlines flip and suddenly OpenClaw gets struck with the cease and desist claim, and the favorite model that people were using this model with gets pulled back. Anthropic takes notice of ClawBot and is seeing it an entity that tries to take advantage of their own AI model, Claude.
Now, because of the term Claude with a W, Anthropic sent a cease and desist. That forced the project to rebrand from ClawBot into Moltbot.
If you have category infringement, this is a name infringement. You cannot have a similar sounding name in the same category that is an IP infringement. So Anthropic have, unsurprisingly, I would say, come to him and said, no way, you need to change that name.
At the same time, OpenClaw gets hit on forums and independent outlets by a wave of criticisms over its massive security flaws.
Apparently, hundreds of API keys got exposed because people didn't fully understand what they were setting up. And that's where I really think this not only would be a security issue for our members.
Let's say you ask OpenClaw to summarize a web page. The agent visits the page, but hidden in that page lies a malicious indirect prompt injection.
And to make matters even worse, Claude officially releases Dispatch and Copilot, corporate tools explicitly meant to outcast OpenClaw, revealing that the Inti software was just a fragile shell wrapped around Claude's code. But then backlash to the backlash. Independent builders push back. They argue that if you want to be the first one who takes advantage of the AI next stage, you need to tolerate a certain level of risk. And if you know what you're doing, OpenClaw is still a great bargain.
Scared to use AI, you often risk more by not adopting new technology than by fearing the potential downside that a small percentage of people experience. So some people are like, what about AI safety? I'm worried that AI is going to take my credit card and go spend it. Of course, there's weird edge cases where someone gave too many permissions to an agent and they didn't have enough guardrails installed. It's like saying, I got hacked on the internet, so I should never use the internet again.
They also realize that Claude's official updates are designed to keep you in their ecosystem, meaning OpenClaw and the Mac Mini running it is still the only path to owning your own AI infrastructure. So Mac Mini sales go from nothing to sold out, to down again, to up again. Brings us to right now, April 2026, or May, depending on how long it takes me to edit this. In the background of all of this, the question now is, should you still buy a Mac Mini? I will tell you exactly what I think, but honestly, just throwing another opinion at you isn't going to help. You don't need one more subjective take to add to your endless, exhausting list of pros and cons. We all feel the exact same anxiety right now. We desperately want to be the first movers, but we are terrified of being the suckers who end up getting scammed. So in this video, let's see if history can help us make sense of all the anxiety we feel today, who the real winners are, and what is the true opportunity here. And for this, we're going to go all the way back to the root of this rush, and I mean all the way back to the original 1848 California gold rush. Chapter 1, the California Gold Rush. He had been in the country since the discovery of the first placers, and he was reported to have dug in all between $30,000 and $40,000, all of which he had spent for his subsistence. El Dorado, or Adventures in the Path of Empire by Bayard Taylor. Let's understand what exactly happened in California over 150 years ago. What exactly was the rush? The rush was a roughly 10-year period where 300,000 people of all kinds migrated to California in the pursuit of wealth. Where and when is the story taking place? It took place primarily in the Sierra Nevada mountains and Northern California. It began on January 24, 1848, when carpenter James W. Marshall discovered gold at Sutter's Mill. While there isn't a specific end date, records agree it concluded around 1855 when the state's economy shifted. Long-term growth was no longer in the gold hidden beneath the soil, but in the soil itself, pivoting the state towards agriculture. Now, who are the instigators of the gold rush? John Sutter. He was the landowner who wanted to build an agricultural paradise in Sutter's Mill. He made his workers swear secrecy, terrified a gold rush would destroy his land, which did end up happening. Sam Brannan, a publisher and store owner who broke that secret. Once workers started paying him in gold dust, he published the news to the masses. And last but not least, the US government. Economic opportunity quickly became political opportunity. Colonel Richard Barnes Mason stated California's gold could pay for the Mexican-American War 100 times over. President James K. Polk officially confirmed the gold's abundance on December 5, 1848, triggering the massive wave the following year. Now, in the story of the gold rush, who is our protagonist? Our protagonists are the 49ers, the 90,000 people who dropped everything in 1849 out of the fear of missing out on the opportunity of a lifetime. This was a worldwide phenomenon. The prospectors included white-collar Americans, doctors, lawyers, teachers, experienced miners from Mexico and Chile, Europeans fleeing the 1848 revolutions, Chinese expats, Australian sailors. They all arrived in a lawless land torn by war, with no civil legislature, no property laws, and a land dominated by the survival of the fittest. At the end of the gold rush, who were the people who lost the most? Thousands died just trying to get there. The overland wagon routes were decimated by cholera. The Panama jungle shortcuts wiped people out with malaria and yellow fever. The sea routes guaranteed shipwrecks, scurvy, and starvation. If you survived the trip, you arrived in a land with zero medical infrastructure. Mining meant standing in freezing water under a blistering sun, facing dehydration, mine collapses, and gunfights over stolen claims. There was also a trap of absurd inflation. By 1852, the easy surface gold was completely gone. Middle-class 49ers were trapped in poverty or forced into low-wage jobs for massive mining syndicates. Worse, inflation was designed to bleed you dry. Think about this, gold was valued at $16 an ounce, but a single slice of bread would cost you $1. If you wanted butter, that would be $2. Say that you were lucky and you struck gold. You immediately had to spend that money on hiring armed mercenaries just to make sure you were not getting murdered in your sleep. The people who lost the most were people who didn't even have anything to do with the gold rush. California's Native American population plummeted from 150,000 to under 30,000 in just 20 years. Peter Burnett, California's first governor, openly promoted a funded genocide. Those who survived the violence starved to death after hydraulic mining poisoned the rivers, destroying their salmon and acorn food supplies. Furthermore, as competition spiked, white mobs aggressively targeted skilled prospectors from Mexico and Chile, beating and lynching them to steal their claims and tools. The government legalized this theft via the Foreign Miners Tax of 1850, a fee designed to force Latin Americans and later Chinese immigrants off their sides. Who are the winners of the gold rush? The true winners who created generational wealth were the shovel sellers, the people who built the infrastructure for gold digging, not the gold diggers themselves. Sam Brannan, who we mentioned earlier, he bought up all the mining supplies in the area and sold them at an extreme premium. A basic shovel could cost up to like $50. He popularized the gold rush and became California's first millionaire. Levi Strauss. He arrived and realized miners needed durable pants, launching his massive denim brand. Another big winner were the women entrepreneurs. Suzanne Wilson baked a biscuit over a campfire in Nevada City, and a starving miner offered her $10 for a single biscuit just to feel again the home-cooked taste. She realized her monopoly and built a massive empire providing food and lodging for miners. Protection services, Wells Fargo & Co., who charged massive premiums to transport miners' gold in armored stagecoaches guarded by ex-military men, which is where the phrase riding shotgun comes from. Now, what about the gold itself? Over 750,000 pounds of gold were extracted. But after 1852, the independent prospector was dead. The only people who were making massive fortunes pulling gold out of the ground were wealthy businessmen like George Hurst and William Bourne. They built massive corporate syndicates, capable of funding deep quartz mining. It was an industrial-scale gamble requiring massive daily payrolls and aqueducts, making it far less accessible than selling supplies. What is the narrative arc of the gold rush? What is the conclusion of this? The ultimate product of the gold rush was California itself. On one hand, it accelerated California's statehood by decades, funded the Transcontinental Railroad, and it turned San Francisco from a desolate territory into a cosmopolitan world hub of innovation. On the other hand, it destroyed the land. It caused a genocide, and it cemented a history of violence and xenophobia, and left permanent ecological scars, including 10 million pounds of toxic mercury that still poisons the waters today. As you can see, the infrastructure, the cities, the technological advancements, the violence, the pollution weren't directly connected to the gold flowing through the rivers. They were the aftermath generated by human greed or hope, you can see it both ways, for a better life. Entire ecosystems flourished and died around what the gold rush produced. Chapter 2. The AI Rush. Let's jump 170 years forward to the present day. What is the story of the AI rush? Let's establish our characters and our narrative arc this time around. Where and when does this story start? It starts around 2017 when Google researchers published the paper Attention is All You Need. They introduced the transformer, the T in ChatGPT, which was the turnkey for the modern AI boom. Much like John Sutter trying to protect his land, Google held back on fully deploying the technology due to corporate caution and reputational risk. In our story, OpenAI is similar to Sam Brannan and other people who were quick to popularize AI. They launched ChatGPT to the public, marketed it as a historical turning point, and sparked the revolution. Funnily enough, AI's headquarters are in San Francisco. Some say history doesn't always repeat itself, but in this case, it sure does repeat its zip code. But this time, the boom didn't stay local to California. It went global fast. Who are our protagonists this time? The original 49ers faced massive barriers to entry, expensive, months-long journeys to the gold land. The 49ers of the 21st century are all of us. Many models are completely free, open source, or cost only $15 or $20 a month. Or at least this is how things seemed at first. What is the narrative arc of our story? We don't know. We're still living it. We have no idea if we're reaching the peak, hitting a plateau, or if we're just one step away from another massive exponential leap. Who are the losers of the AI rush? The quick answer is, again, we don't know. But the terrifying suggestion is that the losers could be all of us. If AI outpaces us, human labor could disappear. Any white-collar, creative, critical reasoning, or desktop-based work is entirely vulnerable. And with AI agents now integrating into advanced robotics, even physical and manual labor isn't safe anymore. While the losers of the gold rush were mostly isolated to California, an AI rush affects all of the world, especially when you factor in bad actors using AI in global conflicts. Who are the winners, or better said, who is selling the shovels this time?
This is the Super Bowl of AI. For 30 years, we've been advancing this form of computing we call accelerated computing.
Are the chip manufacturers the winners? Compute is the new currency. The hardware suppliers are cashing in on investors making expensive bets as they're all rushing to build the new best AI model. But regular people are not building data centers. We're just regular consumers, and we just get to use the most incredible models produced by these massive corporations competing with each other. But if you look closer, the story is quite different. You see, the real goal isn't the AI model itself. It's being able to use it to save time or do your job better or more efficiently. And right now, we're just renting AI usage. A $20 subscription doesn't seem like a lot, but the moment you step out and you want to control AI for your own purposes, having AI manage your CRM, sort emails, or access external files, you have to step outside OpenAI, Google, or Anthropic's ecosystem. And that costs money. More precisely, API tokens. Every single time your software pings the AI, you pay a token fee, and those costs pile up incredibly fast.
And some days my API bills is about $400. I understand how extensively you can bleed through API.
Another thing to consider is that all these big companies have access to a lot of sensitive data. Think about all the questions you have asked your AI chatbot. Now there are still many companies out there, but once the dust settles and only the giant AI monopolies are left, their API prices could just go up. They own the servers, the models, and the data. So are the AI model providers the shovel sellers, the ones who provide the infrastructure for AI usage? What could we do to gain independence from them? Well, we could run free open source models ourselves and cut out the API fees and corporate lock-ins. Some free models are even competing up there with some of the biggest paid models. But you still need powerful hardware to run it. Everyone's ringing NVIDIA if they want to build a data center. But who do regular consumers ring if they want to run local models? Where do everyday consumers get that compute?
There have been a lot of videos over the last couple days of AI creators recommending for you to set up your OpenClaw through VPSs like Hostinger and all these other online services.
By the start of 2026, we saw a massive push online promoting VPS services. These companies own the hardware and rent out compute to the masses. The pros are that you get server access capable of running local models, giving you total independence from the OpenAI, Google, and Anthropic ecosystems. The cons are that the VPS industry is currently the Wild West of the AI rush. It's plagued with security issues, and many users do not trust these highly hackable platforms with their sensitive credentials and API keys. Plus, you're still renting a piece of hardware for a price that can change at any time. So if you want total ownership and you don't want to rely on the VPS route, what is the ultimate solution? Well, it brings us all the way back to what we started this video with, the Mac Mini. Chapter 3. So, should you buy it? Now we have all the background that we need. So, during the gold rush, a 49er needed some bare necessities to survive and search for gold. Shovels, protection, food, shelter, medical care. The people who made the most money were the ones who exploited those necessities, not the gold itself. How can we make sure that we don't fall prey to any of those exploitation? So, what does a completely independent, fully autonomous AI rush prospector need? To build a fully independent setup, you need 4 things. An interface. Big players like Google, OpenAI, or Anthropic provide their own interfaces, but they keep you in their ecosystem. OpenClaw is currently the top open source free interface. It connects easily to multiple communication channels, and it allows you to talk to a massive variety of models. This is why OpenClaw was such a big deal in the first place. It was easy, free, and it was just focusing on one thing, being an interface, not a model of its own.
It's open source. Any model can be used with it. A lot of people are using the Claude models, and that's where a lot of it gets confusing because Claude Code is obviously using the Claude models, and a lot of people are doing that with OpenClaw. But you can put any model on OpenClaw. So you could connect it to OpenAI. You can also run it on local models. That's why people are purchasing.
Number 2, you need an AI model. You have an interface, now you need the brain. You can choose paid models, which cost API tokens, a subscription, or you can choose free models. Models such as Gwen, Kimi, or many others out there. They cost absolutely nothing, and they run all your tasks day and night on your machine. Check out this video below to find out which model would work well for you.
It either won't work properly or will be extremely slow. So unfortunately, the 27 billion parameter version is too big for my laptop, and I'll have to use the smaller 9 billion parameter version, which should fit into my RAM just fine. If you're using Ollama, installation is very simple. You just copy the name of them.
Number 3, you need some safety guardrails. You want to make sure that you don't get hacked or you don't get all your data leaked on the internet. So the 2 options that you have here is, I don't know about this myself, so I would suggest that it's either internet knowledge. You want to just go out there, find good people who can give you some good advice about how to do these things safely, or you have third-party providers who will provide cybersecurity measurements so you can do this in a contained environment. I've added a video here with a creator that knows about this way more than I do, and I think he will be a good source to figure out what works for you.
Is an extra layer of protection, so the edge here goes to Cloudflare. Isolation. In our last Mac Mini video, we showed you how we can isolate the machine. It takes work, but it is possible. Cloudflare, by default, this thing runs in a sandbox. So it's a tie.
Number 4, a main server, your hardware. You need a computer powerful enough to run these models locally. This is where the Mac Mini has emerged as a top contender. Apple took a step back from the AI software wars, but their unified CPU and GPU architecture is incredibly good to actually run other models. So for local AI model performance, Apple is actually a very good option. It runs 24/7, it consumes very little electricity, and integrates perfectly with tools you're already using, such as iMessenger, iCalendar, and many others. Plus, unlike a rented VPS, if the AI bubble bursts and all of a sudden all of this turned out to not be as great as it seemed, you still have on your hands a fully functioning computer. And when you put together all these arguments, this is what is currently driving the Mac Mini craze and why you see all these shortages and all this fuss about the Mac Mini. Check out this great creator who talks about how you can install a local AI model on any computer you have lying around.
But getting this system working was way harder than I thought. I had to test different local models, configure networking, and even split the system on 2 machines. In this video, I'm going to show you how to run local.
Is Apple the shovel seller during the AI craze? Yes, they are. But because they are playing indeed a crucial part in what a fully independent AI user looks like today. But there is a catch you need to be aware of. The highly promoted $600 Mac Mini isn't actually powerful enough to run advanced local models. If you want to run a proper model, you actually need something more powerful and more costly than just the base version. Check out this creator who talks about this at length, and he discusses what are the best investments you should be making depending on the sort of AI model you want to run.
Huge amount of token. In order to run a decent local LLM on your machine, you want to at least choose 24 gigabyte. And because also you need some overhead, just not running the model. Let's say you require other applications to also be installed on your machine to be able to use that. So
the majority of people buying the 600 version still end up relying on API costs from Google or Claude to run their models on the Mac Mini, not to run local models themselves, which is fine. You just need to understand the cost, the pros and the cons. The reason the $600 version became so popular is that OpenClaw lets you bounce between different models, maxing their free usage tiers before you dip into paid API costs. It gives you a great starter platform to build your independent AI station. Okay, here's an important reality check. ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, they offer all the 4 things you need in order to use AI. They offer the interface, the AI model, the safety measurements, because they're huge companies and they have a lot of guardrails in place, and they also offer the servers. So when you put everything together, and if their prices remain consistent, they're offering actually amazing value for the money and some of the best quality out there. They are not actually a bad investment. Again, this video is not about good guys or bad guys. Everybody's playing their own role. The Mac Mini plays an important part in your independence, not necessarily in your quality of life or the value for the money you're getting. In my opinion, if you want to be part of this AI movement right now and you are very dedicated and you want to test the capacity of this, a Mac Mini is a great bargain. You just need to decide if you want to upgrade to a more powerful hardware now, or if you want to wait a bit for local models to become more compute efficient so they can run on lower specs and have even more capacity. I've linked here the opinions of some other incredible creators. Check them out and throw their opinion into your decision-making bucket alongside mine. Pray that you end up on the winning side and that you get to gain something from all these ecosystems that are going to flourish from this. Until next time, take care.